friends, here's a video to help you make the crafts for the book The Rainbow Fish by Mark Pfister. So the first craft that I showed you was the rainbow fish. So this one was a super easy craft to make. I started with just a regular paper plate. Now the ones that I had at home were shiny on this side, and paint and crayons don't really stick to the shiny surface. So I just turned it over. And what I did was I gave you 3 different examples so you could see different ways of coloring this blue. So this is with some watercolors, just some real cheap little watercolors that come in a little tray with a brush. This one right here is with markers. So I had some blue markers. It's really hard for our little learners to use markers to make an all-over color. As they get older, they're able to put more attention and time into creating one whole color. That's why I like the watercolors the best. You can also use crayons. This was the crayons I had, and I guess the blue crayons at my house must have gotten all used up because all I could find was this silvery blue. But it just goes to show that you can use any color of blue you want, and honestly, if you don't want to have a blue rainbow fish, you can use whatever color you like. So you start by coloring your plate all one color, and then the next thing you do is you cut out a triangle. So if you look on our rainbow fish, he has a tail, and the tail is the exact size of his mouth. So whatever size you make your triangle, that's going to become the tail of the rainbow fish. So there you go, but make sure you paint it or color it first before you cut. Then the next thing that I needed was his scales. So to make his scales, what I did was I got the top off of a vitamin box or a bottle that I had, and I used this as my pattern. So you can use anything that you have that's round. And I cut out circles. So I cut out circles out of construction paper, and I also cut out some circles out of aluminum foil to make some really shiny scales. I used heavy-duty aluminum foil. If you don't have heavy-duty aluminum foil, you just have to be a little bit more careful. And then what I would do before you sit down to do this with your little learner is have these already cut out, and you might even want to fold them in half because you're going to be gluing them onto the fish with one half on the fish and the other half sticking out. See, this is the way it's going to look, so you can see that they're sticking out. Then the other thing is if you have a googly eye or a wiggly eye, you can use that for an eye. I happen to have some. I purchased them at the dollar store, but if you don't have them, don't worry about it. You can just color an eye, or you can just cut out a little black piece of paper, whatever you would like. I would just caution you to make sure that when you're using things like buttons, and we're going to be using some beads or sequins later, make sure you use very careful adult supervision, because there's a choking hazard for children under 3 when they use articles like this. Because the tendency for a child is the way that they explore is with their mouths. And it's not because they want to necessarily eat the item, but they want to explore it. And so they'll put it in their mouth to see if it has a taste. And so you want to make sure that you're closely watching your little one under the age of 3 with any craft supplies that could be dangerous and pose a choking hazard. And then I just use regular glue. I bought this at the dollar store too. Whatever glue you have works. I like this one because it's already really, really sticky and it dries super fast. But you can use whatever kind of glue you have. And that's one of our crafts. Then the next one was to make a fish out of Play-Doh. And this was one of my favorite ones because I love Play-Doh. I'll put the recipe for Play-Doh down in the comments. I don't have a fish cookie cutter. If you do, this is so much fun because you can take an old rolling pin, or if you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a plastic glass or whatever you have to roll the Play-Doh out flat, and then you can cut out the shape of a fish. So then what I did is after I cut out the shape of a fish, I put in some pretty fins for him, and I used beads. Again, remember, choking hazard, so use caution. I also found at the dollar store some things that I thought would be really fun, but I didn't put them on my fish for this example, but they are sparkly sequins, and on the other side were some silver and gold ones. So there's really fun sequins that you can get at the dollar store. When I made my Play-Doh, I dyed it blue, you know, of course, to be our rainbow fish, but you can, of course, dye it any color you want. And the other thing that I did that I really think is beneficial for our little learners is I put some essential oils in it. And the reason why I did that is because it smells really nice. So not only are they being able to develop their small motor skills, but they're also smelling it. So then playing with the Play-Doh becomes a sensory experience for your little learner. And that always is so much more fun for them. So when you're using essential oils, be very careful. Only put a few drops in your Play-Doh. You could also try vanilla or almond extract because those also smell really, really nice. So again, Play-Doh, and you can roll that out and cut out fish and put anything you want to for a decoration on your fish. And then the last one that I made for you guys was I made a roll-in cover. And a roll-in cover is designed to be an early literacy activity. Now, I was super excited when I went to Goodwill because I came across this bag, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's so many dice in here and they have different letters on them. So I have the opportunity to make roll-in covers with all different letters. And if you don't have these, because this was kind of a 1 in a million find, you know, don't worry about it. You can do it with numbers. Just use a regular dice and do it 1, 2 through 6. And that was the other one I made, was through 1 through 6. I found these little fish, which I thought looked a lot like our rainbow fish. I just did a Google search for fish clip art. You can also just draw them on a piece of paper. And here are some really fun ways to do the cover. You can, like I did, use some of these little glass, they're kind of like a flattened marble, but you don't have to. You could also use beans. There's some beans that you could use. The other thing that you could do, and this is the fun one, is you can take a cotton ball and a clothespin and dip it in some blue paint or whatever color you have, and just use a regular piece of paper, right? And if you're doing numbers, then put them in, don't put them in order, have them mixed up, because that will encourage your little person to look for the numbers that match the dice, and then the fun part starts. They get to take that clothespin, dip it in the paint, and then cover that number. So much fun. So that's some learning and some craft ideas to go with the book, The Rainbow Fish. I hope you have as much fun as I did doing these crafts with your little one. Hope you have a lot of fun together. Keep learning. Bye.